he said yesterday that Abu Hanifa and his companions say that the prayer in the mosque of the Sunnah is better, and Malik said all the prayers, the Sunnah, the Tatawwah, is better in the mosque except for the prayer after Jum'ah. His companions said this is like they said it's not good to do it because the people of the bid'ah might use it, so they don't pray after behind the imams. The people who consider the imams to be kafir, they might use it and then like pray behind them with no intention, and then when they finish they will be praying. So that is what his followers said. He said, but that doesn't make sense. He said because that is what the Mubtadi'ah do in all the mosques, in all prayers. However, it's difficult to do it in all the prayers because they will be praying four rak'ah, you understand? However, if according to the Hanafi madhab, you can pray 4 rak'ah after Dhuhr and after Isha, so it won't be. Also, he said also, if you do that, the people will go home and pray. If you tell them pray Sunnah in your home, they will go home and pray the Sunnah there. And he narrates here a hadith that mention hadith from Ibn Jurayj from Ata, that he saw Ibn Umar praying Jum'ah, and then he moved a little bit from the place where he prayed Jum'ah and pray 2 rak'ah. And then he will walk more than that and then pray another 4 rak'ah. He does that many times. Like he will move, pray, then move a little bit and then pray. Ibn Umar in the mosque. Also, he mentioned here another hadith from Ata ibn Sa'ib that Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami say that Ibn Mas'ud used to teach us how to pray after Jum'ah 4. So he said we used to pray 4 until Ali ibn Abi Talib came, and then he ordered us to pray 6. He said now we are praying 6.
Sa'ib, wasn't he weak?
Ata ibn Sa'ib is mukhtalit and weak. He narrates another hadith here from Muhammad bin Ismail Tirmidhi from Amr bin Dinar. He says, Sufyan bin Uyayna said that Amr bin Dinar told us before we met Zuhri, from Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar from his father, that I saw the Prophet praying 2 rak'ah after Jum'ah. This hadith is in Muslim. However, it doesn't say the Prophet used to pray 2 rak'ah after Jum'ah. It doesn't say it was in the mosque, or what is known from Ibn Umar that he used to give fatwa that if a person prays in the mosque, he should pray 4. If he prays at home, he prays 2. That was Ibn Umar used to say as a fatwa, not from the Prophet. But he said that the Prophet used to pray 2. So it looks like he saw him praying 2 at home. Even when he described the prayer of the Prophet, he said I memorized from the Prophet 2 before Dhuhr, 2 after Dhuhr, and 2 after Jum'ah, and 2 after Maghrib, and 2 after Isha. And he said, and Hafsa told me, his sister Hafsa told me that the Prophet used to pray 2 before Fajr, and that was a time where I couldn't go to his place, like he can't enter to his room at that time. So the other times he used to go with him to the house of his sister, and then he sees him praying these prayers. So yeah, anyway, the hadith is general about praying, about the prayer being the best if at home, except if it's an obligation prayer. And the prayer in Jama'ah the sunnah in jama'ah is better than the sunnah alone as well. But there is different opinions in here. Of course, people don't do it generally, but praying in jama'ah is better than the prayer alone. That is because salat is dhikr, and dhikr in jama'ah is better than dhikr alone. 290 مسألة. يسوي وأفضل الوتر من آخر الليل وتجزئ ركعة واحدة والوتر وتهجد الليل ينقسم على 13 وجها أيهما فعل أجزأه. He said the best of witr is the one that is prayed at the end of the night. One rak'ah will be enough. Witr and tahajjud of the night is divided into 13 different ways. You can pray in 13 different ways. That is his opinion anyway. He say وأحبها إلينا وأفضلها أن نصلي 12 ركعة نسلم من كل ركعتين ثم نصلي ركعة واحدة ونسلم. He said the best of it and that you pray 12 rak'ah and two rak'ah 12, and then at the end you pray 1 rak'ah. You say this is the best. Well, the best prayer of the night is it has to be 2 rak'ah. Other choice, he will mention his other choice here, few hadith, but that is something that the Prophet used to do. So the best prayer is to pray 2 rak'ah. This is how the Prophet ordered a man to pray. So, and at the end you pray 1 rak'ah. The proof for that, he doesn't bring the proof here yet, but we will mention it later. The proof of that is hadith ibn Umar, that a man asked the Prophet, كيف صلاة الليل? How is the prayer of the night? He said 2 rak'ah. If you fear Fajr, then do witr with 1 wahida. However, let's discuss what he says here. He first mentioned hadith from Malik bin Anas, from Hisham bin Urwa, from his father, from Aisha, that the Prophet used to pray at night 13 rak'ah. And then when he hears the adhan of the subh, of the Fajr prayer, he prays 2 rak'ah. So he said 13, and then he prays with 2 rak'ah more. That should be, the hadith is, the majority of the hadith say 11, and then he prays 2. So the 13 really, the 2 of Fajr are included. This hadith here, it says that he prays 13, and then he prays at the end another 2 rak'ah before Fajr. He says the second is that he prays 8 rak'ah, and then he does salam from every 2 rak'ah, and then he prays 5 rak'ah together. He doesn't sit except at the end. And then he mentions the hadith of Aisha, that the Prophet used to pray at night 13 rak'ah, and he finishes with 5. He doesn't sit in the 5 except in the last one. So he pray 1 rak'ah, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. The 5th, he sit down.
He didn't do tashahhud in any of the...
He doesn't do tashahhud in any of the 4th. Okay? So he said the other hadith is the hadith of the third kind of prayer is to pray 10 rak'ah, and then he does salam in every 2 rak'ahs, and then he does 1 rak'ah. And he mentions here from Aisha that the Prophet used to pray between Isha and Salat and the Fajr prayer 11 rak'ah, and he would do salam from every 2 rak'ah, and then he finish with 1. The fourth, that he prays Well, he doesn't. It's. He didn't mention here how many rak'ah, because it is wiped. Yeah, you understand? But the problem, even the hadith that he mentions, it doesn't say how many. So we don't know his opinion here, the fourth. Anyway, he says to pray so and so rak'ah. He finishes from, he does salam from every 2 rak'ah. And at the end, he does witr with 1. And this is for the hadith of Muslim, which is narrated from Abdullah ibn Umar from his father, that the Prophet asked that a man asked the Prophet about the prayer of the night. He said 2 if you fear that subh will come, then do witr with 1. Of course, this hadith here is narrated by Salim bin Abdullah ibn Umar and others. However, what they narrated, they said that the hadith says Salatul Layl, the prayer of the night. So it says the prayer of the night. However, there is someone called Al-Azdi who narrated it from Ibn Umar. That he said the prayer of the night and the day.
Al-Azdi, heard of him before. Al-Azdi.
Al-Azdi, he is not that strong. And he contradicted Salim and Nafi' and Tawus.
So will it be Munkar or Shad?
Yeah, the hadith will be in the best of its.
Shad, if it's the best, then. So it could be Shad or it could be Munkar, depending on how you say it's weak.
Sorry?
But if he's weak, then you'd be Munkar, wouldn't it?
It will be, yeah, in that way. However, some people say that it is narrated by Ibn Thawban and Ibn Sirin, but the isnad to them is weak. Okay? Al-Azdi is not that strong, and Ibn Hazm take that narration. He says the prayer of the day and the night is 2 rak'ah. But of course, because of the action of the Prophet.
Who speaks about Azdi? Who speaks about Azdi?
This spoke about him mainly for this hadith as well.
Who spoke about him?
Ibn Ma'in, Alhamd ibn Hanbal. Okay, the 5th, he said that you pray 8 rak'ah. You don't sit in any of them except the last one. If you sit in the last one, he does tashahhud. He stand up without salam and then pray 1 rak'ah. And then he sit and then does tashahhud. And this hadith is narrated by Abi Aruba, from Qatada, from Zurara ibn Awfa, from Sa'd ibn Hisham, that he came to the Prophet, to Ibn Abbas, and asked him about witr of the Prophet. Ibn Abbas said, should I show you the best person to give you this? And he sent him to Aisha. So Sa'd mentioned that he went to Aisha and he asked her about the witr of the Prophet. So she told him that he used to pray 9 rak'ah. He doesn't sit except in the 8th. Then he stand up, doesn't do salam, and then stand up and he pray the 9th. And then he sit and remember Allah a lot, and then he does salam that we can hear. Then he prays 2 rak'ah after he has finished the salam while he is sitting. He said when he became old, he prayed 7 then. You understand? All this hadith here especially, it is the narration of Qatada from Zurara ibn Awfa. I have never come across yeah. And there is another narration which is from what's his name? No, it is in Nasa'i. From Al-Hasan, from Sa'd bin Hisham, from Aisha, that the Prophet used to do witr 9 rak'ah.
Hasan al-Basri.
Yeah.
She حدثنا?
No. And then he sits in the 8th, and then he stand up and pray 1 rak'ah. 7th, that he prays 6 rak'ahs. 2, 2, and 2, and then he finished with the 7th one. He said because the Prophet said, Salatul Layli matna matna. So he said the 7th is to pray 7 rak'ah. He doesn't sit and doesn't do tashahud except in the 6th one. And then he stand up without finishing and then pray the 7th. And then he sit and do tashahud and finish with salam. Same thing narrated from Qatada, from Zurara ibn Awfa, from Sa'd ibn Hisham, from Aisha, that she said when the Prophet became old and he couldn't, and he weak, he did 7 rak'ah. He doesn't sit except in the 6th one. And then he stand up and pray and without salam and pray the 7th one. And then he finished with salam. Okay? The 8th one, that to pray 7 rak'ah, you don't sit except in the last one. He said this is because of the hadith of Qatada from Zurara ibn Awfa, from Sa'd ibn Hisham, from Aisha, that the Prophet, when he became old, he prayed 7 rak'ah. He doesn't sit except in the last one. And then he prays 2 rak'ah after salam. Yeah, you will hear it later and you will understand it. That's just from the same person. This way, you pray it this way, you pray it this way. And then
so many ways.
And the 9th is to pray 4 rak'ah. You do tashahud and salam for every 2 rak'ah. Then you finish with 1. That is because the Prophet says, Salatul Layli mathna mathna.
5 then, yeah.
Yeah. The 10th is to pray 5 rak'ah together. You don't I mean, if he says 4 rak'ah, because the Prophet says Salatul Layli mathna mathna, he can say 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 and 10 and 12 and 14 and 16 and yeah, and then that is the proof for it. Why you keep saying 4 and 6 and 8? I mean, if that is the proof, just say it one go. I mean, and the Ashar, the 10th, to pray 5 rak'ah together. He doesn't sit except in the last one. And this is because of the hadith of Aisha that the Prophet used to do witr 5 rak'ah, doesn't sit except in the last one.
So witr.
Yeah, that is definitely that whoever mentioned 5 rak'ah or 7 or the Prophet used to pray 11 or 13, no more and no less. Where he prays this, where he prayed less than his normal prayer, that is because either Aisha didn't see him. I mean, she used to pray, she used to sleep. Sometimes she wake up and she doesn't find him, and he is praying. So he prayed and she didn't see him, or he overslept and he woke up in the morning and prayed somewhere, either in her house, in another wife house, in the mosque. So,
or he could be making up prayers, sunnah that he missed during the day. Would he do that if, for example, if he
what about the prayer of the night? She says that he prayed 5 at night. Don't know, praying 5 at night. We're not concerned now what he has missed in the day. Where is the prayer of the night, the full prayer that he is used to pray? Okay? Ibn Hazm says here, this is what some Salaf said. So he'd start mentioning the Salaf who said this. He said, Ata said that he saw Urwa ibn Zubayr prayed 5 or 7, he didn't sit until the last one. Hisham bin Urwa said also that the people of the Bayt, the people of the house of the Prophet, used to pray 5 and not sit except in the last one.
Sorry, these 13 that he would do, 11 he would do a day, that would be consistent for the whole year. Throughout his life he'd be doing it every day.
Yes, that's what he used to do. Okay, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, that he said witr is like the salat of Maghrib, except that you don't sit except in the third one. He said this, what Ibn Abbas have said, he didn't, is not the hadith of the Prophet, so we don't take it. We don't take it. He said it's not the saying of the Prophet, it's not his action, and he didn't see it, so we don't take it. That's what Ibn Hazm says.
He takes action, not the Prophet.
He does.
So why is he saying he didn't take?
No, he said, Ibn Abbas said that witr is like Salatul Maghrib, the prayer of the Maghrib, but you don't sit except in the last one. He says this is what Ibn Abbas have said. Since there is no hadith like this from the Prophet, neither the Prophet saw it, neither the Prophet did it or said it, so we don't take it. That's Ibn Hazm saying. This hadith is weak anyway. He should have said this hadith is weak because it's the narration of Layth ibn Abi Sulaym, and he could have just said that. He said now here, the Hadi Ashar, the number 11, that you pray 13 rak'ah. You sit in the last, you sit at the end of the second from them, and then Jahud and Salam, and then pray. So he says to pray 13 rak'ah and sit in the last 2 of them.
So the 12th, that's the 12th one.
That's what it looks like. And then you do Tashahud and Salam, and then pray 1 rak'ah. Or you pray like 2 rak'ah. You understand? No, you pray like every 2 you finish. 2 Salam, you sit Tashahud Salam, and 2 and 2 and 2. And then you pray 1 rak'ah. You do Tashahud in the last one, and you do Salam. Because the Prophet said, Salatul Layli Mathna Mathna. The prayer of the night is 2. If you finish Fajr, then finish with 1. This is what Malik says. He says some people have narrated hadith here from Al-Awza'i, from Al-Muttalib ibn Abdullah, that he asked Ibn Umar from witr. He said, finish with 2 rak'ah. So like between every 2 rak'ah you have to do Salam. So a man told him, I fear that it is al-Butayra. So Butayra is a word that is ununderstandable.
Arabic.
In Arabic, no, it is in Arabic. Batr is to cut.
Okay.
And Butayra is like something that is cut. But what does it mean in the religion? You understand? There was hadith which is weak circulating that the Prophet has forbidden the Butayra. And then some people say this is to pray 1 rak'ah alone. So he said, the man said, I fear that it is called, that will be al-Butayra. Ibn Umar said, do you want the sunnah of the Prophet? This is the sunnah of the Prophet. 12 is to pray 13 rak'ah, sit in the for every second, and then stand up without taslim, and pray 13. Then you finish 2, and then the last 3 you sit in the second, and then stand up without salam, and bring the 3rd, and then you sit and you do tashahhud and salam, just like Salatul Maghrib. This is what Abu Hanifa has. He said, وَهُوَ اخْتِيَارُ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. This is what Abu Hanifa has chosen. And then you write here a hadith of Sa'id ibn Abi Aruba from Qatada, from Zurara ibn Awfa, from Sa'd ibn Hisham ibn Amir, that Aisha said that Prophet did not use to do salam in the 2 rak'ah of witr. So what he means, he prays 2 rak'ah, then he doesn't do salam, but he does tashahhud and stand up and then pray another rak'ah, just like Maghrib.
Oh,
This is the Ahnaf, the madhab of the Ahnaf. They say witr has to be like this.
with the 2. The,
No. I mean, you pray how much you like, and then at the end you pray 3 together. That is the witr. This is the Ahnaf don't say you can't pray witr in any other way. Contrary to Malik, who says that you pray 1 rak'ah, 2 and then 1.
2 you finish in 1.
Yes. The madhab of Malik is clear from the hadith of the Prophet. You understand? All these people here, all what Ibn Hazm says, all these ways to pray, or this, the madhab of Abu Hanifa, this based on hadith of Qatada, and even there are some hadith who are apparently sahih. But the Prophet, when he was asked, he showed people one way to pray. That is the way that Malik says. The third is to pray 1 rak'ah alone. You understand? And this is the madhab of Shafi'i. The difference between madhab Malik and Shafi'i is that Shafi'i Malik say you can't pray 1 rak'ah by itself. You have to pray 2 rak'ah before. You understand? Shafi'i says if you pray 1 rak'ah, that's finished. That's all you need to do. And that is the madhab of Shafi'i and Dawood bin Ali al-Zahiri, that you pray 1 rak'ah.
What about Hanbali?
Huh?
Hanbali.
The Hanbalis says like the Jamhur. They say you can pray 1 rak'ah alone. He says, Ibn Abbas says, and Ibn Umar from the witr was asked about the witr. Every one of them said 1 rak'ah at the end of the night. But the Hanbalis didn't say like the Jamhur, said like the Zahiris and the Shafi'is, that you can pray only 1 rak'ah. Because the Malikis, so there is no Jamhur here really. But yeah, if you can say it, the Shafi'is and Hanbalis and the Zahiris say you can pray 1 rak'ah. Malikis say you can pray 1 rak'ah, but you have to pray before it 2 rak'ah.
Okay.
And the
minimum 2.
who?
Like like if for example someone prayed Isha.
According to the Jamhur, what we call Shafi'i and Hanbali and Zahiri, 1 rak'ah is enough.
I mean according to Malik.
According to Malik, it has to be 3 rak'ah. Witr has to be 3 rak'ah.
Okay.
But you don't pray them one go. You do 2 rak'ah and then salam. Yes, in the middle. According to Shafi'i, according to Abu Hanifa, it has to be 3 rak'ah minimum, and it has to be no salam in between. He says, we narrated from Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, bin Abbas, Muawiyah, and others that witr is 1 rak'ah. You don't add to it. See, this is the madhab of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas and bin Abbas and Muawiyah, that witr can be 1 rak'ah. He said also Uthman bin Affan and Hudayfa and Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Umar. He said all this is sahih to us. He said if the Prophet have done something different, we will say it. Now you see how he takes it. This is now being Zahiri in the action of the Prophet.
Like Salafis.
Yes. The Salafis will approve everything that he has said here. Like if the Prophet have prayed 6 without taslim, without salam, and then he added another 1, and 8, and then he added another rak'ah with it, and then he did salam. So that is 7 and 9 and 5 and 3, and he will say 11 together is not wrong, is wrong. I mean, if he prayed 6 and 8 and 10 and he sit at the last one and he add another rak'ah, what is the difference between 12 and 14? And this is action of the Prophet, so he was applying something. You understand? This is of course this hadith, we don't say that you can't do that. All this hadith, you have to pray 2 rak'ah. We don't know. Aisha, when she mentioned all this, she didn't say, definitely the Prophet didn't like pray all this. Every time she answered the question, a person says how the Prophet used to pray. She says the Prophet used to pray so and so. The Prophet used to pray so and so. So it doesn't look like he used to do it continuously, like he was, sometime he was doing something and sometime he was doing something. Now we have to know from the time when Ibn Umar heard him saying 2 rak'ah, after that, did he pray in a different way? Especially that we know that the Prophet has special things in the prayer as well. He said when he was praying while sitting, he said to the man that I am not like any of you. Clearly, even people who say I am not like any of you in prayer, that is still in prayer. Understand? So that should be, all the other hadith that he didn't tell that man should be ignored. Also, he says also here, it is not sahih that the Prophet has forbidden the butayra. You understand? He said it is not sahih that the Prophet has forbidden the butayra. And also, he says even if the hadith was sahih, which is not, then the Prophet never said what it is the butayra. Like there is a hadith that says the Prophet has forbidden the butayra, the cut off, small cut off. So what is it? He said narrated from, he narrates here from Abd al-Razzaq, from Sufyan ibn Uyayna, from Al-A'mash, from Sa'id ibn Jubair, from Ibn Abbas, that he said 3 are butayra. He means in witr. He says this hadith goes against the person who uses it, because the Ahnaf, when they say don't pray 1, they use this hadith, the butayra. He said now Ibn Abbas have said actually butayra is the 3. He said this hadith went against the person who used it. The Ahnaf came with this hadith, the Prophet has forbidden the butayra. It doesn't say anything except that he said he mean the 1 rak'ah in Fajr. So he gave them a hadith here that says that Ibn Abbas has explained it to be actually the 3 that they do. He said if someone says that the Prophet said that Salatul Maghrib is the witr of the day, so is the witr of the day
the witr of the night.
Hmm?
The Maghrib is the witr of the day and the thing is the witr of the night.
Yes, the Maghrib is the witr of the day, so finish the witr of the night. He said if someone says that the Prophet said the Maghrib is the witr of the day, so finish the witr of the night. He said this hadith doesn't say how the witr of the night should be, or that it should be 3. And he said if someone tried to say it, that the Prophet said it, then he is a liar. He said because if you say so, then you have to pray. He said if someone says that the Prophet said it, he is a liar, and you will be the first to contradict this hadith, because you have to then pray loudly in the 2 rak'ah, first 2 rak'ah, and quietly in the last rak'ah, which you don't. And he said also you have to do qunut in the Maghrib the way you do qunut in the Fajr. The Ahnaf do qunut in the last rak'ah.
The witr always.
Qunut in witr, it's an obligation on them, for them.
In witr?
Yeah.
They don't do it in Shawwal.
You do, if you pray with them in Ramadan, you will see that after, when they pray the last rak'ah, they do qunut in the witr prayer.
They do. They say Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, and then they keep quiet.
Yeah.
That is where they do qunut. They make dua.
But they don't say it loud.
Yeah, but he says now if you say that there is Maghrib is like qunut Fajr, then you have to do either stop doing qunut in witr, or you have to do qunut in Maghrib. Because they say that this is the Prophet said that qunut, Maghrib is the witr of the day. So finish the night with witr. He said he didn't say finish night with which witr. This hadith actually, he should have said this hadith is weak, because this hadith, it is the saying of Ibn Mas'ud, not the saying of the Prophet. So it is narrated to be the saying of the Prophet, but that is narration is shadh. Okay? So here he finishes the witr, speaking about the witr. The witr it has should be, prayer of the night should be 2 rak'ah, and the last one should be 1 rak'ah.
What's the next one?
That is, he says witr at the 291. The witr is at the end of the night. Whoever does witr at the beginning is good, and the prayer after witr is fine. But he should not repeat the witr again, and he doesn't pray another rak'ah after he has finished the witr. This is something that. What time is it?
5 minutes past 7.
5 past 7. You want to finish? Continue. I didn't know that it was so early. Let me just continue this. Probably it will not be long. Yeah, actually, it's not that long. Yeah, these are small ones. He says the witr is at the end of the night better. Whoever prays witr at the beginning is fine, like at the beginning of the night after Isha. And he said salat after witr is fine. You can pray after witr, and you should not repeat another witr afterwards. Neither do shafa' with 1 rak'ah. Like someone is praying witr, prayed witr and he changed his mind, or prayed witr and he went to sleep. People will say he should do another witr to make it even, and then later pray witr. So he will be, instead of praying, he will be praying 3 witr. He mentions here hadith from Hammad ibn Salama, from Thabit al-Bunani, from Abdullah ibn Abi Rabah, from Abi Qatada, that the Prophet said to Abu Bakr, when do you do witr? He said, at the beginning of the night. And he asked Umar, when do you do witr? He said, at the end of the night. He told to Abu Bakr, you have taken, he said to Abu Bakr, this one has taken precaution. He said to Umar, this one has taken, he said, this one has taken with the strength. Yeah, this hadith is Hammad ibn Salama. When you hear hadith which is weird, look, you find something. He narrates here from Yahya ibn Abi Kathir, from Abi Salama ibn Abd al-Rahman, from Aisha, that the Prophet used to pray after Isha 8 rak'ah, and then he prays 2 rak'ah while sitting. When he want to stand up, when he want to do ruku', he stand up and does ruku', and then he does ruku' after, and then after that he prays 2 rak'ah for Fajr. So here Aisha said that the Prophet used to pray after the Isha, So here it's not clear as well. He prayed after Isha. I mean,
She says at the beginning.
Hmm.
Yeah, you could pray at the beginning of the night.
Yeah.
But it has to be the last prayer, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't have to be. He says all it has to be is, look, this is the hadith that people that we talk about. The Prophet said, اجعلوا آخر صلاتكم بالليل وتر. Make it the last prayer at your last prayer at night witr, odd. It doesn't say make your last prayer at night. So at night, when you pray at night, the last prayer, make it witr. It doesn't say make it at the end of the night. Say if you pray at night, the last prayer should be witr. The other hadith that the prayer of the night is 2 rak'ah. If you are afraid of subh, pray 1. It doesn't say if you are afraid that subh, like you went. He said if you are afraid that subh. So if you are going to pray and you are afraid that subh, that you will wake up for subh and is gone, that is you are always afraid of subh coming without you praying. So you pray 1. You understand? So that is the prayer of the night. If you are afraid of subh, you pray it 1. You finish with 1. If you go to sleep and there is fear.
It is a mass, beginning of the night. Or
Yeah, if you are going to sleep and there is a fear that you don't wake up, you know for sure. You have this genuine, you have fear that you are not going to wake up. Then you have to pray your witr before then. It's not as an obligation, as a choice, of course. It doesn't make it an obligation. Now, if you are genuinely afraid that if you are afraid that subh may come before you wake up, and you don't pray your witr, and then you wake up after fajr, then you can't make it up. The time is gone. You understand? You delayed it. You can always make up a prayer.
So is that why you said that the Prophet prayed? I don't know if we, if the Prophet, I don't know if we came across it. Maybe I'm just mixing stuff up. But we said that they said the Prophet prayed 11 and 13.
Yeah.
And then you said something about, I got confused on what you said. I thought he prayed 10, and then he prayed the Fajr, and then he prayed the Witr because something, you understand?
No, he didn't. Said he prayed, some hadith say that the Prophet prayed 13. Night prayer. And some hadith say he used to pray 11.
So what's the 11 referring to?
The ones that some people say the 13, it doesn't refer to all the prayers. The 13 refers to the 11 rak'ah first. He prays 11 rak'ah at night.
Yes.
And then Fajr come and pray 2 rak'ah. So they say, some people try to say, what Aisha said 13 sometime, and sometimes he says 11. Ibn Abbas also. Yeah? So they say, sometimes they say 13, some hadith say 13, some hadith say 11. They say to harmonize between these two hadith, we say the 13 is the 11 of the night plus 2 after Fajr. Okay? So the Prophet said only if someone is afraid of Fajr, he should. We say always you can make up your prayer, but that is not, you will not be praying it in the correct way. If you want to pray in the correct way, if you go to sleep and you want to pray witr, I mean you can always pray 2 rak'ah. It will not be the witr prayer if you wake up later. You can pray 2 rak'ah because you missed night prayer.
So beginning of the night, I want to sleep, and I'm sure I won't wake up for Fajr.
Yes.
I have to pray with it.
You have to pray it then as a choice.
What do you mean by that?
You don't have to pray. Fajr is not, witr is not an obligation anyway. So if you are going to sleep and you are not, if you are afraid that you are not going to wake up, then if you want to pray Fajr, then you have to pray it then. You understand? If you are someone who cares about your Fajr. then you have to pray it then. About your witr, then you have to pray it then. Because if you go to sleep then, and you never wake up, and you want to go to sleep, and you never woke up, then if you try to pray your witr,
You can't pay because you missed
you can't pay it because you didn't. You genuinely thought you missed it.
Yeah.
The time of it is gone. The time is extended for someone who wake. Of course, if you sleep, your prayer you have time extended, but you didn't do the correct thing. I mean, extended for those people who do the correct thing, not for the. But you were ordered to if you are afraid to pray it in a certain time, you didn't do it. So your time is gone. Okay? I hope that is understood. Okay, she said also, Ali said, the Prophet said, اجعلوا آخر صلاتكم بالليل وترا. Make the last of your prayer at night witr. And بادروا الصبح بالوتر. Like, try to raise subh with witr. So pray it before subh. So this is nadb. This is not an obligation, of course. You say this is nadb. Know what nadb is? Mandub. Who said because we have explained before that witr is not an obligation. And from the action of the Prophet that he prayed 2 rak'ah after witr, except for the Fajr prayer. There is hadith that says the Prophet used to pray witr and then pray 2 rak'ah while sitting. You understand? That is not something that the Prophet will do intentionally. And if he did it, it was special for him. He said that make your last prayer witr. A person, it will be haram, not makruh, or it will be haram for someone to pray because, yeah, you have the choice to pray. And there is nothing to say you shouldn't pray. But it will be haram for a person to pray, to not try to make the witr the last of his prayers. You understand? I mean, you have the choice to pray or not. But if you pray, you have to pray in the correct way. You don't, sunnah is sunnah. But you don't say, oh, but this is because sunnah I'm going to pray without wudu'. You understand? Your prayer, it has to be in the correct way. So one of the things about prayer is if you pray it, then you have to pray it in the last. You make the last of your prayer at night a witr. Now, if you pray witr and then you wake up, and because you are afraid that you don't wake up, and then you wake up later, then there is nothing to say you can't pray. But when you went to sleep, you didn't think about, because if you think that I'm going to wake up and you think that you can wake up and pray beforehand, that will be wrong. Then what you have to do is either to delay your prayer, or if you wake up later, you don't pray. You understand what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah. Because it looks to me like I am making it. Anyway, the other thing is the prayers which are obligations, such as you pray witr and then you go to the mosque. You have to pray 2 rak'ah as well, because it's an obligation. It doesn't, or you pray witr and then you remember that you have forgotten prayer. You have to pray it as well, so that it shouldn't stop you. And you don't pray later on, you don't make the prayer even or anything. He mentions here hadith from Abu Dawud. He says, حدثنا Musaddad told us from Mulazim bin Amr, from Abdullah bin Badr, from Qais bin Talq. He said that Talq bin Ali visited us in Ramadan and he stayed with us. So he had breakfast, futur of Ramadan. So he prayed that night and he did witr. So he finished and he went to his mosque and prayed with his companion. until when the witr is left, he told another person to do the witr. He said to his person, do witr, and then he said, I heard the Prophet saying, there is no two witr in one night. Abu Hatim in the Ilal, this is in the footnote, he said, I asked my father, Ibn Abi Hatim said, I asked my father about hadith narrated by Mulazim bin Umar and Muhammad bin Jabir. So Mulazim bin Umar narrated from Abdullah bin Badr, from Qais bin Talq, from his father Talq bin Ali, from the Prophet. And Muhammad bin Jabir narrated it from Abdullah bin Badr, from Qais bin Talq, from the Prophet. He didn't mention from his father. He said, so he didn't say which one is correct. He said, however, Ayyub bin Uqba has followed Mulazim bin Amr in saying this hadith is narrated from Qais bin Talq himself, from his father, from the Prophet. You understand? There is many hadith that are Abdullah bin Badr has narrated some hadith from Qais bin Talq, from his father. Talq bin Ali is the same hadith. This is the same isnad about the hadith which says the Prophet. Tirmidhi, for example, narrated from this isnad, Mulazim bin Amr, from Abdullah bin Badr, from Qais bin Talq, from his father, that the Prophet was asked about man touching his private part. He said, it's part of you, of your body.
Well, you look at that one, it's when you urinate.
No, that is different. That is totally different hadith. That is hadith of Abi Qatada. So this hadith here is, this Abdullah bin Badr needs to be looked at. Qais bin Talq is thiqa according to Ibn Ma'in. Ibn Ma'in sometimes he is very easy on making people, and it's also thiqa but by Ibn Hibban and Al-Ijli. The others didn't.
Ibn Ma'in make easy?
Ibn Ma'in sometimes he is easy, yeah.
So who is consistent?
No, Ibn Ma'in sometimes he is easy in man.
So Madini is strict and Ahmed.
Ibn Madini and Ahmed and
Abu Hatim.
Abu Hatim, Abu Hatim actually is very harsh. What's his name? Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan.
So if Abu Hatim makes someone da'if and everyone else makes him
thiqa,
then we
he might be exaggerating. Ahmed bin Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan is a bit harsh, but I will say that is the right way. What Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan says, people say he is harsh. Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, Amr bin Ali al-Fallas.
How is he?
He's okay, he's fine. Ibn Ma'in is fine, not is that, but he is sometimes he is easy. I mean, if a person, nobody have said this thiqa except Ibn Ma'in, it's...
What about Ahmed? Is he alright?
No, Ahmed bin Hanbal is... Everybody can be easy sometime and can be...
But then you'd have to look at why he's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to look at the person and see why did he say he is thiqa, why he did... You understand? What did he say exactly? Why did he say it? It's a bit... I mean, the easy way... it's only easy when everybody agrees about a person to be thiqa. And when everybody agrees about someone to be weak, that is...
And how many of the times you get that? You get that most of the time?
You get... I don't know how many, but you get...
Well, everyone agrees someone to be weak.
Huh?
When everyone agrees someone to be weak.
Yeah, then he is weak.
But usually when you check an isnad,
Yeah.
is it normally that ikhtilaf always? Usually, most of the time it's ikhtilaf.
No. If you are dealing with hadith that are in Bukhari and Muslim,
Yes.
half of the man,
Yes.
probably, I'm just giving it like this,
Yes.
but half of the man probably
Yeah.
of Bukhari and Muslim, you might find them to be agreed on to be thiqa.
By everyone.
Yes. and the other half you have to look at the, I mean the don't forget all the Sahaba, it's agreed to be thiqa. Yeah, and then after that it is the others you have to look.
They say it's ijma' also. They say it's ijma' that all Sahaba are
Trustworthy.
Where did we get to? We finished? Which
No, we have not. Yeah, we just wait a minute. It is not ijma' that the Sahaba are all trustworthy. That is not what we don't take it from ijma'. Some people call some people Sahaba and still don't take from them. You understand? Now, to say we don't know any Sahabi really who has done something. Samura ibn Jundub sold alcohol. Did he know that selling alcohol was haram?
We don't.
No. Qudama ibn Mad'un drank alcohol. He was asked, he said, I am from the people of Badr, and Allah says there is no harm on those who believe, and ليس على الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جناح فيما طعموا. So he has been mistaken. He referred to an ayah.
Yes, he's okay.
You understand? If a person does something, I mean, doing or believing something, I mean, if you believe something and then do it or don't do it, finish. I mean, you believe that this is halal, finish. I mean, but Qudama bin Mad'un doesn't believe that lying is halal. He believes that lying about the Prophet is haram, and lying generally is haram. That's what he believes. He believes something and he drank alcohol because he believed it's fine. The punishment, he should be punished. But to consider him to be a fasiq, no, if someone does something...
because you could say anyone could just say this.
No, it's not because you could say. No, it's not because you
don't call him fasiq.
No, you don't call him fasiq.
Why do we punish him if we don't call him fasiq?
Because Allah said, if someone does this, you punish him. He doesn't say...
This way it comes down to the same thing about someone does zina.
You understand? If someone does something, you punish him. Now, why... sometimes there is a genuine mistake, or... You understand? إذا شرب الخمر فاضربوه. Someone has drank alcohol, hit him. Of course, this can be debatable. A person who drank alcohol and because he thought it was halal, probably some people will say, look...
Bring the proof to the people around him.
No, you bring him and then you explain to him that it is not fine, and then next time
he carries on. If
he carries on, some people might say this, and this is not a weak opinion, this is strong opinion as well. But from the Sahaba, let's go back to the Sahaba. Sahaba being all trustworthy. This is Wahshi ibn Harb. Wahshi ibn Harb, people consider him to be Sahabi. And some people don't trust him.
Who doesn't trust him?
Zuhri, for example.
What about Hind? Would Hind be considered Hind?
She is definitely Sahabi. Why? She met the Prophet. No, he never. He came to the Prophet and she said she was sorry, and she asked fatwa from him.
No, that's what I was listening for. I was trying to listen when you were telling me the fatwa today. The first time I was thinking, listening carefully. Did the Prophet give any signs that he was, when he was answering her, like?
No. She was actually he was very fine with her, because she came and she said, there was no one who I thought I used to like to be humiliated like you.
She said it to the Prophet.
Yeah, he said, but today there is no one that I like to be, that he should be honored like the way I wish it for you. And he said, and me too. I don't know if me too I would like it for myself, or no, it's just that's not like it. No, he said وأيضا, that you will this will happen to you like more. You will like be better than this. You understand? To Hind. Now, Hind it's different what happened with Hind from what happened with Wahshi. She, according to the seerah, she is the cause. She paid for it to happen. But then it's not question of...
She's getting her own back, isn't it? She had something done to her and she was retaliating.
Yeah, she was not Muslim that time, and her brother and her father. So this is Wahshi. There is Safina. Safina, for example, he is considered to be Sahabi. The person who narrated from him, Abu Rayhana, this is hadith in Muslim. He narrated the hadith from him from Abu Bakr regarding Tahara. And then he said, I didn't used to trust him. Abu Rayhana said, Tabi'i, he said, I met him, he was old. I did not used to trust his hadith. So this is not ijma'. A person, a tabi'i, saying about a sahabi, I didn't trust him. So this is not thiqah. So if someone says this is ijma', where is the ijma'?
This man here,
yeah.
What was the matter with him, the Sahaba? Was he Sahaba or was there something, that history behind him?
No, he say according to him he is Sahabi. But we say now, a tabi'i who narrated from him, if someone says that Sahaba are thiqat, ijma', this is not ijma', this hadith is in Muslim. And Muslim didn't comment, and he found Muslim, when he finds something odd, he writes in his book, there is something here, I didn't write intentionally, because he doesn't like to put it in his book. However, he put it in his book. He didn't find it to be something that he shouldn't write in his book.
What chapter is that in?
The book of Tahara, menses. Okay? So, if someone tells you ijma', how can this is... Ijma', what is ijma'? Ijma' that everything agrees on. Everybody agrees on. You understand? Because we don't know the Sahaba, there is a hadith. If you ask anybody of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah about what do you consider if a Sahabi does something, does the ayah apply to him or not? Like, huh?
Something wrong.
Anything, something good or something bad. Does the ayah, I mean, there are some people that Allah has forgiven and He was pleased with, like people of Bay'at al-Radwan. And Bay'at al-Radwan is happened in the before Fath Makkah on the 6th year. Yeah? Fath Makkah, victory of Makkah was on the 8th. Afterwards, there was Ta'if. The Prophet went to Ta'if. And in the Ta'if, Abu Bakr came. Abu Bakr is called Abu Bakr because he came from the wall. He jumped from the city, the wall of the city was something Bakra called.
Rolling.
Not roll. It's something that is you put on the well with the line.
Oh, the rope.
No, the thing that turns.
Wheels.
Yeah. Yeah. So they call him Abu Bakr for that. Now Abu Bakr is not from people of Badr.
Okay.
He's not from the people who gave bay'ah to the Prophet under the tree. And he became a Muslim on the 8th year after Fath Makkah. Anyway, you understand? So we don't have any proof. No one can say Abu Bakr is from the people of Jannah. We don't have proof for that.
Okay.
You understand? He was just known to be a nice person. However, now they say every Sunni that we know, that we have read of, they say the Sahaba, the religion applies to them the way it applies to everybody. Like if you today, you see the ayat that people say, oh, this applies to the Sahaba, this applies, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ. If you are differ in something, رُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. They will talk like if this is for us, not for the Sahaba. That ayah is for everybody. Everybody who read that ayah, it's for him. So if تنازعتم, if I have different opinion with Abu Bakr, what do we have to do? We have to refer to the Prophet. That ayah tells me and tells Abu Bakr. Same thing. You understand? So the ayah that says if someone drinks, the hadith that says if someone drinks alcohol, don't drink alcohol, the ayah is for everybody. And the hadith that says if someone drinks alcohol, you have to punish him, that applies for everybody. The proof that the Prophet used to hit Sahaba because drinking alcohol. You understand?
Himself,
Yeah, or there are people to hit them. So that applies to the Sahaba, that there is hudud on them. You understand? That so the religion applies for everybody. Now, according to the hadith that Abu Bakr accused Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, Abu Bakr didn't accuse, astaghfirullah, someone accused Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah that he has committed adultery. Mughira ibn Shu'bah is Sahabi. Now, if you accuse someone of committing adultery, what happens? You have to bring 4 witnesses, or you will be
beaten.
lashed. Now, the witnesses that were called, one of them is Abu Bakr, and he came and he said he committed adultery.
Okay.
Now, when Umar had called the witnesses, 3 of them said yes, we saw him. 1 said I am not sure. So now there is no 4 witnesses. Since there is no 4 witnesses, Umar ibn Khattab, he told the people,
The accusers.
yeah, those who testified, he hit them.
All 3 of them.
Hmm?
All 3 of them.
Yes.
Not the 4th one because he said he don't
He
know.
didn't say he doesn't know. So he hit them. 80 lashes, including Abu Bakr. And then he told them, make tawbah, and your testimony will be accepted.
Ooh.
Abu Bakr refused.
So it means he was lying.
No, I don't say he is a liar. Now, any way you take it, if you take it that Umar ibn Khattab was right,
Yeah.
then Abu Bakr's testimony will not be
Never be
accepted.
taken.
If you take Umar ibn Khattab being wrong, you understand? That will make Abu Bakr not trustworthy. If you take Umar ibn Khattab to be wrong, then the ijma' of this ummah is wrong, because all the ummah agrees with everybody who have spoken about this hadith agreed with Umar ibn Khattab, including Ibn Hazm, including Shafi'i, including, I don't agree with Umar ibn Khattab because this man was testifying. He didn't do anything. The man was testifying. I mean, there is something that happened after the testifying. These people should not be beaten. I mean, you call someone to testify, he must come to testify.
And he said he was going to go testify in a guy.
Well, it's you hit someone if he make claim.
Yeah.
You understand? If someone comes and say to someone qadhf, you understand? But then
The witnesses, you don't read him.
now this person should be flogged
Yeah.
at someone, and you think now someone has done something.
Yeah.
Someone said something about him.
Yeah.
The religion requires him to bring 4 witnesses. And Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا يَأْبَ الشُّهَدَاءُ إِذَا مَا دُعُوا. If a witness is called, he should not refuse. He must go and testify. You understand? And this man was called to testify. He went to testify. What have you against? What can you say? I mean, the person is obeying Allah for. How can you call him a fasiq? Well, there is something after what happened that can be discussed further, but then the people who say ijma' and the saying of the Sahaba,
Finish.
and you see
There's no ijma.
they have problem here.
Yeah.
They have to take this or this or this. Any one detail, they will be breaking that usul.